In the chaotic aftermath of Charlie Kirk's shocking assassination, Donald Trump is spiraling into a full-blown panic attack, desperately clinging to his crumbling narrative, while the world watches his empire of lies implode. Far from mourning a supposed ally, Trump dismissed questions about Kirk this morning with his trademark self-absorption, bragging about expanding his gaudy ballroom as if a man's death were just another footnote in his endless quest for ego-stroking grandeur. But the real bombshell? The shooter, Tyler Robinson, hails from a die-hard MAGA family, shattering Trump's desperate attempt to pin the blame on Democrats and exposing the toxic rot at the heart of his movement. Let's peel back the layers of this farce, shall we? Donald Trump, the self-proclaimed king of tough talk and unyielding strength, is looking more like a bewildered clown in a funhouse mirror, weak, utterly confused, and reeking of corruption as his carefully curated web of deceit unravels thread by thread. Picture this. For days, Trump and his sycophantic horde have been howling about leftist violence and Democrat-fueled hate, trying to paint Kirk's murder as the inevitable fruit of progressive rhetoric. They screamed about Nazis, fascists, and threats to democracy. Ironic, coming from the man who stormed the Capitol like a toddler in a tantrum. But now, the shooter's own grandmother drops the mic. My son, his dad, is a Republican for Trump. Most of my family members are Republican. I don't even know anyone who's a Democrat. Boom, there goes the script. Tyler Robinson, 22, arrested after a frantic manhunt, wasn't some radicalized liberal plant. He was a homegrown product of the MAGA echo chamber, turned in by his own Trump-loving father, Matt, who couldn't stomach his son's confession to the grisly crime. Trump's response? Not a shred of reflection or accountability. Oh no, that would require a spine, which he famously lacks. Instead, he babbles about feeling great and obsessing over his ballroom renovations, as if Kirk's blood-stained legacy is just another distraction from his mounting legal woes. This is the man who built his brand on fear-mongering and division. Yet, when the violence circles back to his own backyard, he dodges like a greased pig at a county fair. Weak? Absolutely. Trump's so dysfunctional that even in tragedy, he can't muster a coherent eulogy. He's too busy polishing his gold-plated delusions. And confused? Let's tally the lies he's peddled just in the last 24 hours. First, whispers from MAGA insiders claimed the shooter was trans, a classic Trumpian smear to rally the base against woke bogeymen. Blown up. Then, rumors swirled that Robinson was a person of color, fueling the racist undercurrents of Trump's narrative. Obliterated. The family revelations hit like a freight train. Registered Republicans, all of them, with Tyler himself veering into the fever swamps of far-right extremism, idolizing Nick Fuentes, that notorious Holocaust-denying anti-Semitic troll who makes even Kirk look like a moderate by comparison. Speaking of Don Jr., the apple doesn't fall far from the rotten tree. Jr.'s desperate spin on this mess is a masterclass in MAGA hypocrisy, dripping with the same entitled wine that defines the Trump dynasty. They realize they lost the debate entirely, so they have to resort to violence, he bleats, as if his father's endless parade of bankruptcies, affairs, and indictments weren't violent assaults on truth and decency themselves. Don Jr. insists the hate flows one way, straight from Democrats and the media, conveniently ignoring the mountain of evidence pointing to right-wing rage as the real accelerant. Hundreds of hours of clips? Sure, play them. Play the ones where Trump calls Kamala Harris a fascist, a communist, the greatest threat since sliced bread turned evil. Jake Tapper aired the audio just hours ago. Trump in his August rants, labeling her everything but the kitchen sink, invoking Stalin and Mao like they're his spirit animals. And let's not forget J.D. Vance, Trump's own VP pick, who once dubbed his boss America's Hitler. If that's not inflamed rhetoric, what is? But Don Jr. wants us to pretend it's all one-sided, that liberals are the boogeymen silencing the truth-tellers. Thrown off the air? Please. The only ones scrubbing their feeds are GOP peers, frantically deleting posts about Democrats faster than Trump erases names from the Epstein files, those damning documents he's been dodging like the plague. This isn't just confusion. It's a corrupt symphony of deflection, orchestrated by a man whose moral compass spins like a drunk at a casino. Trump cares about one thing: political exploitation. Kirk's death? A golden ticket to sideline the Epstein scandal, those files dripping with the sordid ties of billionaires and politicians, including whispers of Trump's own uncomfortable proximities. Remember how he praised Epstein as a terrific guy who liked him young? Now, with the files heating up, Trump pivots to victimhood, demanding we tone down the rhetoric while his minions flood the zone with conspiracy theories. Calling him a pedophile defender? That's not hyperbole. It's pattern recognition. Labeling his Project 2025 fever dream an authoritarian invasion? Facts, not fury. Raids on LA, attacks on DC, threats to Memphis, Baltimore, Chicago. Trump's not a wannabe dictator. He's auditioning for the role full-time, with a ballroom big enough to host his defeat. And, oh, the humiliation. Trump's MAGA movement, once a roaring beast, is now a whimpering pack of hyenas, devouring their own tail in confusion. Nick Fuentes, that far-right goblin Robinson admired, is backpedaling faster than a politician caught in a scandal. Fuentes, who routinely trashed Kirk as a sellout, now eulogizes him as a man of God, seeking good faith debate. Lies. Fuentes and his groypers thrive on hate, not harmony. And Kirk? Don't eulogize that grifter. He wasn't a free speech warrior. He was a profit-driven provocateur, storming campuses, not for discourse, but for viral clips to monetize bigotry. Sure, he mobilized young conservatives, credit where due, but at what cost? Spreading division, fear, and falsehoods, all bankrolled by billionaire donors who saw gold in the grievance economy. If Kirk loved free speech, where was he when Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist, was ripped from his family by Trump's deportation machine? Stripped away, missing his child's birth, all for daring to call out the Gaza genocide funded by our taxes. Kirk was silent, as were the Democrats too cozy with AIPAC cash. Republicans? They'd cheer the disappearances, no questions asked. This satirical sideshow peaks with the right's crocodile tears. Nancy Mace, that attention-starved opportunist, pivots from slinging slurs at marginalized groups to pious forgiveness. Jesus would want us to love the shooter. Spare us. She's not fooling anyone. It's just another ploy to humanize the monster while demonizing the critics. And Trump? He's the ringmaster, humiliated on the national stage, his strongman facade cracking under the weight of his own contradictions. The shooter hated Kirk, not for being too conservative, but not conservative enough. Too mainstream for the Fuentes fringe. Utah Governor Spencer Cox let it slip. Robinson ranted about Kirk's perceived softness. GOP leaders are in damage control, erasing digital footprints like kids caught with contraband, but the stain won't wash out. Trump's narrative is decimated, his movement fracturing along its extremist edges, leaving him exposed as the weak, corrupt puppet master pulling strings that now tangle around his ankles. Zoom out, and the emotional toll is palpable. We've endured years of this poison. Mass shootings excused as mental health issues. School slaughters met with thoughts and prayers, while children beg for change. The right in flames, then feigns shock when the fire they lit engulfs their own. J.D. Vance's Hitler quip? Not a slip. A symptom of the deranged discourse Trump normalized. George Bush, of all people, mourned communism's 100 million dead, yet Trump's flirtations with authoritarian icons go unchecked by his party. Liberals aren't the threat. We're the firewall, calling out the dysfunction before it consumes us all. Trump's playbook, cry foul, blame the other side, demand silence, is as predictable as his bankruptcies. But we're not biting. Jasmine Crockett nailed it in Congress, grilling RFK Jr.'s anti-vax cronies on their hypocrisy. Vaccines save lives, yet Trump's crew slashes NIH funding for Alzheimer's, cancer, maternal health. The people will die as a result, she thundered. Truth. This administration's assault on public health is criminal, and Trump's complicit, his confusion masking a deeper corruption that prioritizes power over people. Satirically speaking, Trump's ballroom obsession is the perfect metaphor for his reign. All flash, no substance, a hollow shell where real issues echo unanswered. While families grieve, he's measuring drapes for his delusion palace. Humiliated? Utterly. The MAGA faithful, once unified in rage, now eye each other warily, wondering if the next shooter lurks in their ranks. Don Jr.'s rants, Fuentes' flip-flops, Mace's sanctimony. It's a circus of clowns, with Trump as the bumbling headliner, tripping over his own lies. Jessica Tarloff cut through the noise months ago, warning that Trump's words aren't jokes. They're blueprints for chaos. John Kelly and Mark Milley spilled the beans. Fascist tendencies, unchecked ego, a disdain for democracy. Kamala's steady hand contrasts Trump's flailing. She builds coalitions. He builds walls of denial. Yet here we are, post-assassination, with Trump demanding we muzzle criticism of his pedophile-adjacent past, his dictator dreams. No, we'll amplify it. The Epstein files? Still simmering, a ticking bomb Trump can't defuse with ballroom banter. Jesse Waters, that Fox News hack, declaring war on truth? Fire him. His ilk perpetuates the hate that birthed this tragedy. Emotionally, it's exhausting. This cycle of violence pinned on the innocent while the guilty preen. But we persist, because silence is surrender. Trump's weakness is our opening. Expose the confusion, the corruption, the humiliation. His movements imploding from within, a self-inflicted wound from years of festering extremism. Liberals didn't create this monster. We fight it, and we'll keep fighting, unbowed, because the stakes, democracy, decency, lives, demand it. In conclusion, as Trump's panic peaks and his MAGA mirage shatters, let this be a rallying cry. Don't let them silence you. The shooter's MAGA roots prove the hate is theirs to own. Keep calling out the lies, the authoritarian fever, the Epstein shadows. Trump's humiliated, his dysfunction on full display, weak, confused, corrupt to the core. Subscribe, like, drop a blue heart if you're with us. Stay vigilant. Stay vocal. The fight for a better America continues, and we'll win it without apology.